John, this is Christopher.
Hey, how's it going?
Tony didn't kill Christopher because of the car crash. He killed him because Chris had been useless for years. Was Christopher Moltisanti ever useful? The question lingers like the smell of cheap cologne and stale cigarette smoke after one of his half-baked business ventures. Watching The Sopranos with fresh eyes makes it clear. Christopher didn't suddenly spiral when heroin entered the picture.
Emil, Cola.
Chris Moltisanti.
He was a walking liability from day one. His resume is unimpressive even by mob standards. For every success story, yes, he nailed Emil Email Kolar, and Junior once called him a good earner. There are 3 examples of him botching jobs so spectacularly they verge on parody.
Cola uncle is gonna find a kid dead on one of his bins.
The body disposal of Emil alone reads like a slapstick sketch. Moving the corpse around with multiple witnesses, attempting to cram it into a dumpster while his partner vomited on cue, and then digging it back up for an encore. That was Christopher at his most professional cowboy-itis, as Tony called it, wasn't just a phase. It was a lifelong affliction, and yet, this habitual screw-up kept being invited back to the table. Why? Nostalgia. Pure and simple.
Let's be honest about the great Dickie Moltisanti, my dad, your hero.
Tony saw in Christopher a surrogate son, a twisted do-over for his relationship with Dickie Moltisanti. Christopher became the projection screen for Tony's delusion that he could be the father figure he never had. It was a powerful illusion. But illusions don't whack guys or cover up homicides. For that, Tony needed Christopher the loyal soldier.
He's got some interest in screenwriting.
Not Christopher the screenwriter, aspiring producer, or would-be family man. Let's be fair though, Christopher was useful when he stayed in his lane. His talents were clear enough. He was an exceptional shot under pressure, a competent accomplice in body disposal, sloppy at times but willing, and an enforcer who could put on a menacing face when required. He didn't flinch at killing Emil, Mikey Palmas, Rusty Milio, or even his own screenwriting mentor, J.T. Murder, the Mafia's most sacred service Christopher could deliver on. He was also loyal when it counted. Choosing Tony over Adriana in the gas station scene was the most decisive act of loyalty he ever managed, even if it sealed his own doom. But beyond bullets and blood, Christopher's track record turns embarrassing. As an earner, he was erratic at best. He dabbled in cigarette smuggling, fencing stolen Pokemon cards, selling power tools with his father-in-law, and running scams like Wabistics. None of these were spectacular failures, but none made him indispensable either. His stint managing Polly's book demonstrated his knack for losing money at the one enterprise designed to always win.
Story by Christopher Moltisanti. Isn't that what it said up there on the screen?
His film project Cleaver may have made a profit, but only confirmed his distraction by Hollywood fantasies that alienated him from the family business. For every score, there was a relapse, a tantrum, or a monumental lapse in judgment. It's telling that his greatest accomplishments are side notes in other men's stories. Tony and Silvio could rely on him to dispose of Ralphie's body, but only because nobody else was available. He was at Crazy Horse, roughing up small-time operators, but only as the backdrop for Tony's larger power plays.
I'll be back in a little while.
Stay, wait.
He could handle Adriana, but only in the most grotesque, loyalty-testing way possible. Christopher's usefulness was always reactive, never proactive. He was the mop, not the broom. Of course, defenders argue that Christopher's failures were caused by addiction and personality flaws, not incompetence. True, he had flashes of competence, even brilliance, particularly when sober.
Gismonte, with a G.
His marksmanship was legendary. The wounded headshot on Gismonte is one of the finest displays of precision in the series. He also showed occasional business sense, such as spotting JT's gambling vulnerability. But let's not kid ourselves. Sobriety was never sustainable. Not with Tony encouraging him to drink while simultaneously scolding him for relapse. The truth is that Christopher was trapped in a no-win situation, expected to stay clean while immersed in a culture that mocked sobriety as weakness. Yet even without drugs, Christopher was never destined for greatness. His ambition always outstripped his discipline.
John, This is Christopher.
Hey.
He dreamed of Hollywood while botching basic mob responsibilities. He wanted the respect of a capo while showing up late to every meeting. His famous impatience, "I can be on time tomorrow, but you'll be stupid forever," was funny precisely because it masked the fact that he was perpetually unreliable. The real tragedy of Christopher is not that he was useless, but that he was just useful enough to survive far longer than he should have. He wasn't the worst mobster. Jackie Jr. surely takes that crown, but he was the most frustrating. He could kill cleanly, intimidate effectively, and occasionally sniff out a scam, but he never translated those flashes into sustained success. He was always this close to being a valuable asset, undone by his ego, addiction, or sheer ineptitude.
And then finally, only through you.
Tony's indulgence didn't help. By shielding Christopher and grooming him as heir apparent, Tony set him up for a role he could never fulfill. Christopher wasn't a visionary like Ralphie, a steady hand like Silvio, or even a calculating survivor like Polly. He was muscle with a pen, a junkie with a dream, a marksman with delusions of grandeur. Tony's belief that Christopher could be molded into a leader was less mentorship than malpractice.
And so Christopher's legacy is paradoxical. He was both indispensable and expendable. He killed when it mattered, but failed at nearly everything else. He gave the world Cleaver, but also gave Tony endless headaches. He was fiercely loyal until he wasn't. He wanted to be Michael Corleone, but functioned more like Fredo with a gun. His usefulness depended entirely on context. Reliable when violence was needed, disastrous when responsibility was required. In the end, Christopher Moltisanti was neither hero nor villain, neither mastermind nor total buffoon. He was exactly what he appeared to be, a capable but flawed soldier, propped up by nepotism and nostalgia, undone by his own weaknesses, and remembered less for what he achieved than for what he squandered. Tony may have seen him as the son he never had, but the rest of us saw him for what he truly was, an eternal apprentice, always on the verge of growing up, but never quite making it there.
You been drinking?
So, was Christopher ever useful? Yes. When you needed someone dead or a body buried. Beyond that, his greatest contribution was unintentional. He served as the show's cautionary tale of wasted potential, a brave Italian heroin addict, capable in theory, catastrophic in practice. He dreamed of Cleaver. I dream of subscribers.